taboo.
Hey everybody, you're all very welcome to another episode of Revenue Hacks with me, Khristina, and the rest of the crew. We're so happy to have you guys here today because we have the Elon Musk of the hospitality world joining us today, Mr. Ken Patel. We'll go around the room in 2 minutes just to kind of figure out who everyone else is, because you do know that we do have some new faces here on the show with us on LinkedIn Live, YouTube Live, and Facebook Live. But don't forget that today, again, you can win a Revenue Hacks mug, just like mine, without my picture on it, for the most person that's engaged with us here on LinkedIn. So if you've got questions during the show, please drop in your comments. Hey, Tom, nice to see you here with us on LinkedIn. Tom's been a regular person on the show as well. So we're going to run around the room quickly and have a quick say who we are. So I'm with JMK Group, UK and Ireland Hospitality Group. And Calvin?
Good morning. My name is Calvin Tilokee, creator, CEO of Revpar Media, and happy to be here. I actually want the mug with your face on it. People may want your face on that mug.
Look, I can't even give this mug to my mother. My mother is she's set up looking at me. Thibault.
Hi, my name is Thibault. I'm the founder of Catala Consulting, a revenue management company based in the UK. We look at revenue management for several hotels across Europe. I'm French, so again, the accent, I hope it's not an accent. I hope it's not a problem. But I see like it's a start of a good joke when you have like a French, an Irish, and an American in the same room. And then that's how we start. But yeah, happy to be here.
And last but not least, Ken. We actually have Ken, funny fact, before CNBC. He is due to appear soon. So Ken, let us know all about you.
Of course. Good morning from Atlanta. Ken Patel, CEO, VB Hotel Group. And it's a pleasure to be here.
It's fantastic to have you here, Ken. And we're so excited because I remember speaking to you almost 2 weeks ago after Calvin put us in contact. And it's just, wow, you actually blew my mind 110%. We're very passionate about technology here on Revenue Hacks, and it's about growing, disrupting the market completely. So can you just let our viewers know what exactly you're trying to do at the moment to revolutionize technology?
Of course. So we're actually going to be coming out with the hospitality industry's first all-in-one software solution. And that's going to be taking out the archaic systems that are currently in the hospitality industry. And it is actually going to have all the different items that you can think of in the industry when it comes to hospitality itself. With certain models that we have is self-check-in, chat bots, the service recovery that's autonomous. So it's just so much going into it. We have 4 different phases, and I am going to sometime during our call and during our event here, I'm going to announce the physical first phase launch date that we're going to have and tell you guys a little bit more about it as well.
I love this. This is so good. And we're delighted to have you announce your first launch date, especially here on Revenue Hacks. Hey to everyone that's tuning in. There's a lot of people joining us from Florida today. Hope you guys are all well. Please send your sunshine to us here in Europe. It would be great. We really would appreciate it because it's the middle of winter here and we are cold and snowy. Let's start about technology. What is the passion that drove you to actually try to disrupt hotel technology?
One word, old. Everything is old. I mean, as we look at it up and down, and I'll go to the airlines. If I'm able to check into my flight 24 hours prior, then the only place I have to show my boarding pass is at the security gate point. Why are our guests physically coming to the front desk to get a room key and sign a single page document being the reg card? I mean, there's just no need for all this. I mean, we're going to be spending $17 million on this software, and we've done over $2 million worth of case studies. So all of these things equal to what we're doing is changing and revolutionizing this industry currently. And I would think of it that if our guests are not seeing this, then we're all blinded. I mean, the guests are seeing this. What they get at home is not the same that they would get at a hotel itself. And we want to provide them all those things that they get at home. And I think that's our philosophy, where I travel a lot too. I stay at a lot of hotels. I mean, I think everyone in the world at one given time, they stayed at a hotel. So they see all of this. There's not any items that are currently at the hotel that can tell us we're up with technology. There's nothing. There's absolutely zero. And it goes back whether it's the largest brand or the smallest brand. No one is up with that technology phase. And we don't even have a line item in our P&L for technology. So we're not even spending money on technology to begin with.
I'm just giggling away about this because I'm sure the guys on the call here will agree. Everything always just seems to drop into either sales and marketing or A&G. That is just exactly where technology sits. And I know that that's not how it should be. I think there should be something there for tech, for upgrades, especially because we've seen now with the pandemic a huge increase in virtual check-in, online check-in, apps, and people moving away now and being more diverse with technology. I have to say, and I'm sure Thibault can actually agree with me on this, we've not seen it massively in the UK and Ireland and across the EMEA, only because people don't look at technology as an investment piece. They just look at it as a cost, and they don't look at it from the end user's point of view.
That's true, yeah. And they're looking for always a good ROI. So everything has to be justified. So for sure. And Ken, I have a question for you. Are you is your background from the hospitality industry? Are you from outside? I'm asking you this because I believe the biggest disruptor in the hotel industry will be from the outside, not necessarily from inside. As you have seen with Booking.com, Expedia, Airbnb, which guys were competing from outside. And then they came with a different point of view and changed things the way that they wanted to change. So are you from the hospitality industry, or are you?
I'm actually completely 24, now going on 25 years in the industry. I worked my way up all the way from the front desk agent to being COO, VP of operations, CEO. And I've just basically done it all in 24 years of failures that I've seen in our industry. And that's why we feel that what we're doing is all a solution. It's the problematic ways that we've had, and we have to come to the solution. Because, you know, when we look at Airbnb, if you look at their revenue, we had an article that we had pulled up, and we were able to get their revenue numbers from April till now. They've taken almost 34% of the market share from hotels. And the reason for that is they're not a hospitality company. They're a technology company. They're a click and go. And it's a very simple process, right? Simplified, where the guest wants simplification. They want to make sure that they don't need the complex situations. So now we've had simplified situation that Airbnb has created, and their model went perfect for the pandemic. Now, the complaint that people that don't like Airbnb was that we don't know if the house is clean, but they put those things in place to make sure that apartment, that house, that condo, whatever it is, has the perfect clean solution to it. So they were able to come up with those solutions where we lacked those solutions. We didn't do anything about it. We were more in the elimination phase. Let's eliminate housekeeping. Let's eliminate breakfast. Let's eliminate everything. You know, and at that point, the guest doesn't take kindly to it. So I look at all these different situations, right? I mean, when you spend these amount of years in various roles, and I mean various roles, and every single role you can imagine, right? And when I look at it, and I've turned plenty of hotels around, plenty. And why did I have to turn them around? Because there were operational issues. When you have operational issues, that means you have guest issues. And when you have guest issues, you have revenue issues. So all of these things combine in one. And I look at it like this, right? We go back to Tesla. Why Tesla did well, and you're right on. He was an outsider, right? But he wasn't the founder of Tesla. There were two other guys that founded Tesla. And he was obviously coming right from PayPal. And, you know, what he was able to do with the $80 billion industry was he found the problematic things there. The problematic things needed a solution to it. And he was able to provide that solution. So they don't go from 2012 selling 12,000 cars to 500,000 in 2020 during a pandemic. So if your business model is good, no pandemic is going to touch it. And that's kind of our point, is that if, as long as the business model is good, the guests are happy, employees are happy, excuse me, then everybody's going to be happy, you know?
I agree. I agree. There's some new needs, some new desire from the market, and sometimes it's very important to remove your hotelier hat and just see the problems and the gaps from a different perspective. And that's exactly what we need. So to combine both the hands-on experience with a different outsider experience and different point of view to create a disruption. And that's what is going on with the legacy systems, where they are lacking and they have a lot of gaps. And they said, oh yeah, but that's fine. Let's forget about it. But those small gaps that they have will create a disruption of tomorrow. And I think that's the key point.
And you know, I kind of want to just kind of throw some things in there as well, is that, so from over the years, what I've seen, the dramatic shift is that, and this comes more on a owner standpoint, is that we just want to keep buying hotels and we never want to put a structure together. You know, that obviously never makes sense to me, is that why keep buying if there's no structure to it? We need to have a structure where if you have 40 hotels and 50 hotels, or you have 20 and 30, your company needs to have a better structure for it, you know? And I think that's what hurts our guests. That's what hurts our employees. Why we have the largest turnover percentage in the world in the industry, and that's hospitality, is because we don't have the proper structures. And that's what EV Hotel Group came about, is to create all these structures, create all these positions that the industry's never seen. I mean, the industry has not ever seen the positions that we've created. And what we've done and what we go by is, let's make human life better.
That's what it's all about. That's what the industry is all about ultimately. And I want to go back to a point you started at the top with talking about software and the industry and just using the term old. And excuse me, I've spent a lot of time in my career working with Marriott, and one word, Marcia.
Oh,
right? I think everybody who's worked in the industry has had to touch that system would know. I mean, this thing came out in the 60s. Why is it still around? And what was funny to me at one point, I was working with a Starwood property that I had to help them convert from Starwood systems back to Marriott and Marcia, and it was like, it's going back in time. Why do you think the industry is so hesitant to making these changes?
Excuse me. It comes down to, you know, what I've called a mitigation system, right? Is we have to all compromise, but we've never compromised on guest. We've compromised on expense. We haven't had the chance to say, oh yeah, you know what, let's think about our guests, let's think about our employees, and let's roll with this the right way. It's always been about, okay, why am I getting charged this? Why am I getting charged that? You know, you're getting charged that because your guest expectations aren't there. You know, you're obviously paying a lot more. And I think it's a battle for both sides. I think it's a battle for the ownership. It's a battle for the brands. Because if it was that case, then we would have had technology a long time ago. I mean, there's no reason to say that hotels don't make money. I mean, every hotel makes money. You know, every hotel makes money. Do they make a substantial amount where they can add a technology line item into their avenue? Yeah, of course they can. And, you know, I would say I'm just one of the few. It's what I had was an idea for 2 to 3 years. And that's the reason I moved to Georgia. And then because of my wife, obviously, too. But before my move to Georgia was going to start an enterprise and start a company. And what I've seen, the failures has now come down and opened that door during the pandemic, because that's why employees rather sit at home than go work in the hospitality industry for a reason. Because we're not making their lives easier. We're not. We're just creating more stress. We're like, okay, you know what? You were working 4 front desk shifts. We need you to work 6 this week. Or you were cleaning 12 rooms. We need you to clean 20 rooms this week. That's not how it works. That's absolutely not how it works, you know, and that's not what it is in other industries, you know. So the workload has gotten bigger, just as everybody complains that nobody wants to work. I think that's such a false statement, that it's not nobody wants to work. We're giving them too much to do and they're not getting rewarded for it. So, and we have a system for that. That's why we're able to guarantee things and say that, you know, we will be able to offer you a guaranteed number over 42% GOP and under 20% labor. But we have systems for that. We have formulas. We have things that can guarantee those items.
I think what's really interesting is the comments that we're getting here at the moment are actually very, very cool. Calvin, you opened a huge hole with Marsha by just by the way. Because, again, Marriott did actually try to phase out Marsha. However, they were partnering with Oracle. Oracle was going through that Opera Cloud. They wanted them to go on the Opera Cloud, and it wasn't successful. That went out the door. Daphne brought up the fact that Holodex is no more. Very true. I was part of a transition team at one stage, helping out 1 or 2 hotels and how to move from Holodex over to Merlin. Chaotic. Still kind of prefer Holodex sometimes, no offense. Merlin isn't great either, but you know, international chains are moving slowly. However, there are some aging chains, which I'm not saying the name, but you know, they just don't move with the times. They really don't. Their systems are old. How they deal with connections are old. But I also think it's actually the connections that's the problem. It's the integrations. It's that feed and the handshake between your CRS or your PMS and the big bad world of distribution, because that can go down without you even realizing. And unless you've got a very smart and tech savvy person, they can't find that. They don't know that. So if disco connection goes down, you know, that's hotel beds. That's a lot of other connections gone. Your GDS can be gone, you know, and same thing with Sabre. So, you know, it's that integration thing. And I'm sure Thibault's first one to jump on that because, you know, again, we are all about technology, seamless integration. So Ken, what is your system going to do in regards to integrations with the rest of the world, that big bad world of distribution? How are you going to make it better for everyone?
Oh, we've got the APIs. We've got the APIs. Obviously, you know, there's going to be your dark horses, and we're working with one particular dark horse that we have. But 99% of APIs are done. We're going to have all PMS integration, and that means there's going to be no human error, right? And everything we're doing is to make sure we're not micromanaging. Now, micromanaging has become this huge thing in hospitality where we're constantly telling our front desk agents, fill out this log, fill out that. But, you know, I think in going back to the PMS integration, it's been the thing where I've seen so many softwares. I'm not even going to name one single one. Don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but why do we have people inputting data when there's a simple PMS integration? And, you know, EV Human, that's the name of the software that, if people haven't heard about it. So EV Human has a virtual assistant that guides you through all the process. And, you know, this is kind of where we are, is everybody's not going to be keen to know this, that, know this. And, you know, we're going to get confused at certain things. We do need an assistant. We do need somebody to help us and guide us through these processes. And that's kind of where we are. And to deal with it, and PMS integration is key. You know, I've spoken to very high up people at Oracle as well. And you know, we've talked about Opera and micros as well. And, you know, the PMS integration is that it's all about a data file, right? It's about a data file, and it's about how we're going to be able to integrate that data. Opera is one of the easiest places to integrate data. And I believe Marriott's doing the right thing. And that goes back to Calvin's point. Marsha, Fossey. I mean, I feel like I can show it to my 5-year-old right now and she wouldn't know what to do with that. And she's pretty good with the iPad. But, I kind of can tell you is that we have spoken to Oracle, and there's something in the works there. And, I got to give it to Marriott for making sure they took the higher stand on this and getting it done to what their guests want and their employees want, right? Because you got to be in with the new. I mean, we're done. I mean, if we don't want a smartphone, we would still had what do we call those Nextel 2-ways back in the day, chirping on our phone.
Listen, that was a fun time. That was a fun time.
Yeah. It was a real fun time. And, but who's carrying those anymore, right? And it's almost like this to me. And I was talking to my wife last night. It's like, I'm going to make sure no one has to carry a room key in 6 months. That's kind of where we want to be, is that let's not carry a room key. Let's make sure our front desk agents do not have to check the guest in, and have our front desk agent focus more on the guest, focus more on their needs, focus more on their request, and just it's going to be a focal point at that.
That's something that, I think people have lost. And I think they're afraid that introducing technology will actually mean people will lose their jobs, rather than actually seeing it in a way that it's actually going to increase the guest engagement, and it's also going to increase guest satisfaction. We did have a question from Jamie Blackmore-Ken for you that says, do we need to redefine the traditionally accepted headcount in certain departments and balance staffing costs against investment in new technology? See, this is the question again. Do we let staff go to be able to invest in technology?
Not at all. Not at all. I think, it needs to focus now more on the guests. Our objective is not elimination. Our objective is what we call easy. Make things easy. Make life better easy. Make human life better easy. And I mean, all of it has to do with creating less stress, right? Our employees are stressed. They don't want to come to work on time. Why do you think there's so much tardies at 7 a.m. for a front desk agent? Because they're not looking forward to it. There's no culture. When I hear the word culture, and I got to say the brands do an excellent job in presenting the culture. Hoteliers still need to learn from it, but because there's no onboarding at the hotel level for it. The hotel group has created personalized onboarding. Yeah, it's like, here you go. The HR department.
I think it's a great question, Jenny. Thanks a lot for this question. And I believe it's more about the digital extension of the team via the technology, but as well via outsourced company to be a bit more flexible. Because in the next few months, people are getting ready to reopen. A lot of teams will not be able to bring back the full team. So you'll have a lot of staff shortage, not talking about the Brexit, the new visa requirements in the UK, which will have some labor issue as well. The workload increase for the staff as well. So this kind of digital extension of the team, I think is very important. So not to be replaced by technology, but to be an addition to the team, to Ken's point, to focus on the guest and making sure the guest experience is on top of everything.
Yeah, and I think, there's never, that word elimination should never be in the hospitality industry. We're not here to eliminate people. We're not here to make sure they lose their jobs. And, I think if someone's saying training is key, I think training's the key component here. As our HR departments have failed, and I've seen it hands-on myself, I think the onboarding really needs to get better. I think the onboarding has to have a different philosophy behind it. And that's what we're doing at EV Hotel Group. We've actually created a complete onboarding model. And, it goes back to a lot of these things, as that employees are always scared when they're working at their hotel, because they're scared of losing their job. They're scared of being laid off. They're scared of being terminated. And why does that happen is because of pressure. There's pressure coming. And we need to kind of change those philosophies. And I say there's technology is not, it's like if we didn't want 5G, we would have stuck with 4G, right? We wanted 5G for a reason, because we wanted a faster processor. And that's what we need, is we need faster processes. And we can't have guests waiting 10 minutes to be checked in, 15 minutes to be checked in. You know, it just doesn't happen. And I mean, even it goes into our housekeeping side of things, where we are able to, so the industry has a 28 to 30 minute national average for a housekeeper to clean a checkout room. We've brought that average down to 18 to 20 minutes with our processes. And, you know, we have a solution that is the industry first for that. I'll leave that for another day, but
I think what's interesting is on the other side, I'm watching LinkedIn as we're going along, and this is amazing because, again, we've spoken about this on Revenue Hacks for the last 9 months. It's training, it's culture. And Adele has a really, really good point. She says, culture is how you live every day, not just something you not sit in a drawer. And even at orientation, culture should be a pre-shift huddle and a department meeting. I know for a fact, and we all know this for a fact, because we've worked in hotels for a long time. Yes. Departmental meetings never happen every week. There's rarely a shift handover or a huddle, you know, and I remember being a front office manager and trying to make that key. That's the one thing I have to say about Clarion Hotels. Many years ago, I used to work for them. They had, you know, the Clarion standards. Every day the hotel had to know the standard, and someone from Clarion head office in the US or else in Ireland would call you to find out what the standard was. And you had a proper shift handover, proper chat. And I remember, you know, as a front office manager, you had to be the most energetic person in the room. And that's what you need to be as a manager, is the most energetic person in the room, to engage with their team and get them pumped for their day. Because you know what, if you're in a bad day, all that negativity is going to feed over. And that's also down to training. If you sit there very monotone and kind of go, this is your training, then there's no real engagement from people. No one finds it exciting. No one finds it happy-go-lucky. And that's where the industry needs to change. Because again, people have all commented here, training for an hour. You know, Daphne put in there. You know, Daphne trains people all the time. Training for an hour is totally unacceptable. You know, you need to have short bursts of training, but also informative and exciting. And I think when it comes to onboarding properties, I've worked for multiple brands across the years. Some hotels do it well, some hotels don't do it well. Some chains do it exceptionally well, and then others don't. And I think it's all down to that learning at the end of the day and how people engage. And I'd love for a proper system to be developed eventually for hotels to be able to train properly, you know, and actually understand properly. Because I'm sorry, putting in a PMS is one thing. However, actually training the people relevantly is a totally different kettle of fish. And you know what, there's just sometimes when you're dealing with technology, there's just so much information to take in. And you could be just coming off a night shift because you're a night guy and you're being trained how to run the night audit. Or, you know, you are coming in after working 2 back-to-back shifts. And the last thing you want on your day off is to be in work training. So I think there needs to be a better insight on owners, trainers, HR managers on the day-to-day needs of your staff, not just the business needs. Because at the end of the day, your team are what sells your property. Simple. And if your team feel that if they're going to get some sort of technology integration or technology upgrade, if you've got a revenue manager who's looking at something, and although it's going to bring quality to their work, they mightn't even go for it because they're afraid their job will be taken over by a machine. And Thibault has seen the same thing day in and day out. Calvin, I'm sure, has seen the same thing day in and day out. And that's what's worrying for people. You know, we need to invest smartly. And we don't need to invest in sexy tech. So sexy tech in the revenue hacks world, just for anyone who's new and joining us today, is all this amazing technology that is really cool, looks shiny, perfect. But then when you go to use it, it's crap. It belongs in a drawer where it shouldn't have been invented. You know, and that's something that, you know, I've spoken to Ken about. Ken is 100% certain his tool is not going to be a sexy tech tool. It is going to be a disruptor. It's going to change how people do business every day in hotels. So Ken, let's get down to brass tacks. Tell us, A, what your system is 100% going to do, because we've seen this on LinkedIn, on Monday or yesterday, and give us your launch date.
Yeah, so it's, I know. I think I posted something on LinkedIn, and matter of hours, we had like hundreds of replies. So I'm happy to see people are loving it. So I mean, I'll kind of go into. So we have 4 phases. The first phase is almost ready, and we're gonna have the first ever self check-in. No credit card needed. No reg card needed. No ID needed at the front desk. You're going to have the option of scanning your ID, scanning your credit card, filling out the reg card, and you would get that 24 hours prior. And then that's where you can actually pick your room number as well and all your preferences, whether you're attending breakfast, whether you need a rollaway. It's going to be a lot of optional things that you're going to have. And that's on the guest insights that we're going to create, because we're really focused on AI. So that's where we're going to become very analytic to make sure we get the AI portion as well. And then the guest is going to be able to log into the software with the QR code when they get to the front desk, when they arrive at the hotel. Now, that app is going to be able to get them into the industry's first ever social media platform, where now they're going to be able to see names of each employee that's currently at the hotel. We have an integration that'll even show it if they're currently on property or they're not even on property. So there's no more calling the front desk, my toilet's broken. There will be a direct communication there as well. And the guests are going to get to know the employees. They're going to be able to know what they do throughout the hotel, who they are, what they're about. They're going to be able to communicate with them, whether it's leaving them a great message, asking them for something. And then there's the service tickets. So that's the autonomous service recovery that we call it, where we have chatbots, and the chatbots are going to be able to do the service recovery if there's an issue. And that's going to be the first line of support. And then if there's an escalation that would be needed, then the escalation would happen. The guest is going to be able to use the software and the guest portal for any of their delivery items, any delivery services that they might need, anything that might guide them, local attractions in the area. If they want to order food, it'll take them right to DoorDash, Uber Eats. They need to get diapers, it'll take them to Walmart delivery. So all of those items as well. And I probably have to say is we're going to get clean data, right? We're not leaving any items on data islands anymore. And our first phase is really focused on making sure that we are going ahead and providing everything that's a front-facing technology in the first phase. That's the front-facing technology. And the other phases that are going to come along going to have to do with revenue management, back office operations, new softwares, and then something that everybody's probably going to love is we have autonomous valet service. The autonomous valet service is going to be focused on the LiDAR technology that's self-driving, and we're having conversations currently. And I think Khristina knows about that conversation, but that's going to be able to, if your car is self-driving, you're going to be able to request your vehicle, and it'll pull up right under the vestibule, the front desk. And and the phase 1 has a lot to do with how we're going to be able to increase our scores as well. So we have our own survey system. And when we go off Medallia, for example, there's only 1,200. Let's say you have 1,200 rooms sold for the month. You're not getting 1,200 surveys. With our survey system that focuses on AdWords and other technology terms, every guest is going to be able to be heard. Every guest is going to get a survey. A survey is going to trigger on a few different items as well. So there's just not going to be a survey based on, when they check out. No, survey is going to trigger within the system, whether there's an issue, whether there's something great the guest wants to talk about in regards to the employee. So the engagement levels are very high. There's going to be very high engagement levels, whether it's on the guest side or the employee side. we're not leaving our laundry person, our housekeeper, our engineers, our housemen, our front desk agents that our guests do not know who they are. Now they will know exactly who they are. And lastly, I mean, I did want to talk to our legal team before I did make this announcement, and we're obviously good to go. And the first phase launch, we're only 3 months away. We are going to be launching the weekend of Memorial Weekend. And we currently have 54 hotels signed up already. And those are also hotels we are going to manage once we implement the software. And I mean, we have we kind of had to stop because we need to build on we built our implementation team on 60 hotels. So we have 141 pending still. So we might have close to, as we're building our implementation team, we might have close to 200 hotels by Memorial Weekend. So, I mean, the number's just rising. And I think I said it before we came on air to what our expectations was and to where we are. I mean, we're surpassing any number that we thought would hit. And I'm happy to see that people are taking kindly to technology. I think technology is a big player, and the phase one is going to change the guest perspective. And, one other thing that we're having in our phase one is a booking agent. So we're going to have our own booking agent. We're going to airline payment model. The airline payment model is when you book, that's when you pay. That kind of gets rid of the cancellation issues that we have. We're not having the front desk agent called data arrival because you're at 96% occupancy. Somebody's credit card declines, you're losing revenue. The guest is unhappy, they come and they don't have a room. All of these things, right? And that goes to the problematic issues that we came up with solutions with. Now, why would the guest want to do this? We have added things into our booking agent that the guest would benefit from it. There is something involved in there that the guests would benefit from it. And we've spoken to the brands about it. The brands are on board. I believe as they should be. I've been very upfront. I'm very blunt. I think all you guys know that I'm very blunt. And, I kind of told them, you join us now or there's going to be no later. Because I mean, that's kind of how it is. It's, we're not going to sugarcoat anything. There's no sugarcoating here. We know what we're doing. We have a pretty great approach. We have raised tremendous amount of capital, to back everything we want to do. And, we're looking to go IPO in 7.5 years. That's our goal. And so, I mean, there's a lot of things that we're doing. And, we've been telling everybody and all the owners that do call us and multiple owners, international owners, I think I told you guys that, we have 20 some hotels that are still there's actually, there's quite a few things that are happening, but with this software right now, currently, it's a US software where we haven't set up the languages for international, but it's a component. I believe we'll have that done by May. So it should be done. So that opens up the window for the international properties as well. And, I think from what I've heard from the owners, and then we also did a forum of about 50 corporate travelers from the top 10 tech companies in the world. And they're like, I think everybody had one word to say to me, like, finally. They said, finally, and I'm like, yes, finally. And that kind of stuck with me as to say, I was thrilled to hear that. I was just ecstatic, as I know what the guests want. I mean, I know what I want when I go in, and there's 5 people in line to be checked in, and it's the front desk agent's first day without any training. So, You know,
I can jump on this one actually. That's a big congrats on the new launch. I'm really looking forward to the new platform and everything. Now I like to change because I'm actually quite straightforward on this. You talk about social media, you talk about data and so on. How do you make sure you respect as well the privacy of the guest? Because I like when you talk about AI in tech and people like knowing what the guest wants, but sometimes the guest doesn't want to know or doesn't want you to know all of this. Like if I go to an hotel and they already know that I want a cookie or chocolate cookie, I say, no, I don't want a chocolate cookie. Oh, actually, I want a chocolate cookie. You see, like when the system knows more than actually you do yourself, I find it a bit creepy. Or do you just find the right balance between this kind of thing?
We find the right balance, and we're not saving any data. There's no data saving here. We're not putting it on a server. We've already stated that. So no data is going to be saved. You know, so they're going to have to redo the data as we go on. So it's not like Facebook where you kind of search something in Facebook and next thing you know, you're searching something in Google and it comes up to what you just searched in Facebook because they got that all that analytic data. And I would say we are not going that route. So we are not saving your data. We're going to get, and as you know, AI is just not, for example, your face. AI is your ears, your hair, your nose, your lips. That's AI. You have to get as much data as possible. You know, and we have data scientists that work for us. And, you know, I would tell you that the information that we've got back, it's almost like this, right? Google and Facebook, everybody's saying they're collecting way too much data. Then don't go on it. You have the option, right? Don't go on it. You don't need to be on it. Cancel your Facebook account. Don't go on Google Chrome. You know, I mean, it's very simple, but we still do it, right? We'll complain, we'll still do it. So we feel that, you know, law of probability is going to take a little bit. Tesla didn't sell 500,000 cars. It took them 8 years. Lucid's going to sell probably 100,000 cars in their first year. You know, if people don't know about Lucid, look it up. You'll know what I mean. So, you know, I think it's going to take time, right? When you have something of this sort, it didn't take Airbnb a long time because the guests loved it. And now that should tell us something.
So, Ken, you actually gave me an idea when you mentioned that you're not Facebook. So I just had this vision of them making instead of the social network, the hospitality network, a movie about you. Who would you want to play you in that movie?
Who would I want to play me? The best looking guy, Tom Cruise.
I can just see Tom Cruise in American Dad, tiny Tom Cruise. I think you should definitely pick somebody else. But we did have a really good question from Rachel Brown. So I'm putting this to Calvin and putting this to Thibault. Do you of the other panelists have ideas on how operators can make a case for a technology budget? So you guys tell me. I already know my answer. So we'll let Thibault and Calvin speak about this from a other side, because you are actually the tech guy. You're selling tech. So we'll talk about the guys who need to create it. So guys, what would you do?
Well, I think what's really come out of this entire conversation, everything we've mentioned is a short-term thinking. You know, I think hospitality has fallen behind on the tech side because, as we mentioned earlier in the show, people are just thinking about that immediate return. Everything is ROI when you talk to ownership, and that obviously trickles down to your GMs and your operational leaders on property, is because it's, you know, for example, I was at a hotel once where we did a renovation. We added one extra small meeting room. And immediately it was like, well, that should be $1 million this year in additional catering revenue, which is clearly impossible. It's not like that one room is not going to attract that many more people, but it's that type of short-term thinking that leads to a lack of movement into technology, and also everything else we discussed as far as guest service. We're not focused on long-term. How is this going to help our associate? How is it going to free them up and allow them to impact the guest? And I think that leads to also a fear of the change, because a lot of, as a revenue manager, you would hear a lot about these systems. I don't want to name anything offhand, but a lot of these revenue management systems, well, then the first question is, well, can they replace us? Can we replace revenue management? And a kiosk in the lobby that can make your room key, is that going to replace a DSA? And we need to move away from that mindset. And I think that the sooner we do that, and sooner we move away from how can I cut costs and how can I get rid of this employee? Well, it's how can you supplement that employee? How can technology, how can a kiosk in the lobby help your GSA now focus on what really matters when that guest arrives, on what they may need, what their favorite room is? Are they here for a special occasion? How can we make that special? That's what hospitality is all about, and not trying to cut corners all the time. So I think it's a mindset change more than anything. And I could give a lot of credit to Ken and what he's doing, because this is going to force a lot of hotels and a lot of this industry into change. And that's quite frankly what we needed. We need to be forced into it. Again, Airbnb and vacation rentals and all of this. It's like we don't move unless pushed. So now we're pushed. So let's see what happens.
You're on mute, Khristina.
Can't believe that. Thibault, how would you put a case forward to owners if you wanted them to change technology? Because you again run a consultancy company.
Mm-hmm. I think like it's the best time ever to actually put something together, like a technology budget, because technology will be one of the biggest tools to help the hospitality industry recover and as well gain the trust of travelers in 2021. So because of the health and safety standards. So use this opportunity to actually invest in your tech, in changing your PMS, changing your revenue management system, your distributions. Like for example, like think about like one-click connect to different channels such as Catanox or other systems. But I think like nowadays that's the best time to invest in technology. Yes, ROI driven, of course, but looking as well as supporting, as you mentioned, supporting the existing team, which are currently overloaded with tasks to do, and because the teams are being reduced. So see it as an additional, see it as a digital extension of the initial team, of the current team, and keep in mind that it's all about the guest satisfaction. So technology is not to replace anyone, it's just to extend the team and drive some ROI and being more focused on gain some time, but as well drive more guest satisfaction. So I think like that's the best time ever to invest in tech.
I love that. Now, you're right. Last year, people thought that 2021 was going to be the year the technology explodes. I definitely think for hotels it will be. Last year, we kind of seen a small introduction into technology for people who would never have been there before, given the pandemic, with Upsell Guru and a lot of different apps across the EMEA and across the USA. I definitely think the next 2 years we'll see a huge increase. I like how you said, see it as a digital extension rather than replacing staff, because that's not what it's here to do. We are about to wrap up, but I do want to say congratulations to Daphne Pierce. Daphne actually had a really good comment during the whole thing that really resonated with me. It's employee loyalty brings guest loyalty. And that is so true. We've been protesting about this for years and years within hospitality. The more happy your staff are, the more your guests will come back to you, because they are loyal, because they do want to have that connection with your staff. So I just want to thank Ken again today for being on the show, launching your product with us on the show, giving your date, giving all the information. It's amazing. You also dropped the Lucid word, which is amazing. If you don't know about Lucid cars, go check them out. Oh my God, these are sexier and sleeker than any car I've ever seen in the world, for sure. Thank you so much for joining us here on Revenue Hacks, and we look forward to seeing you all next week. Next week, we actually have Hera, Hotel Revpar, on the show. So thanks, million. We'll see you then. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.